Hey, nice. We are live. Give it a few minutes. Let everyone come on in. Join the fun. Sure as hell doesn't help that I'm late. But appreciate everyone joining. Appreciate everyone tapping in to join the live stream. So I got an agenda of things to talk about. What I mentioned in Instagram was talk about fancy dance. Gonna mention Dallas Goldtooth and Fallout, and going to look at talk about Navajo natives who pander to non-natives. You know who you are, and then talk about Navajos in the Eclipse, who got absolutely roasted for good reason. For some of it, some of it, I'm a little biased because I am Navajo, but I can see why the hate exists. I don't deny it. So let's start with the positive news with Fancy Dance, and then I'll pivot to talking about my exhaustion with just sad native content. But let's start with Fancy Dance. I could not be more excited that everyone is going to see it. So, a little bit of recap if you even follow me for a while. I saw Fancy Dance last year at a film festival. And so it was on a film circuit, and I was able to go watch it here locally in the Phoenix area. And I saw it in Harkins Theater where they had the festival, where they were holding it at the Cine Capri. And it was awesome. It was right at the same time that Killers of the Flower Moon was out. So they were both in theaters existing at the same time. And you know my opinions of Killers of the Flower Moon. I wasn't a massive fan. I think I respected some of the roles. I respected like some of the acting. And I frankly was surprised that Lily got nominated for. It was more of a billing thing and not a screen time thing because she was in like half the movie. So I felt like that was a disservice to her and a disservice to the movie. But that's the story they wanted to tell. The lens was very much like Green Book, Schindler's List, like not the lens that I needed that story to be told from. So I, fresh off the heels of watching Killers of the Flower Moon, Fancy Dance came out, and my wife is the one that turned me on. It turned me on about it. I had no idea Fancy Dance was in existence. Jessica Tremblay directed the film, um, and I saw it, and it just blew my mind. I want to say Jessica Tremblay is her name. Nope, that is wrong. That is a random person. Her last name is Tremblay. So I apologize. I got wrong first name. But Fancy Dance is a fantastic movie. It's coming to Apple TV. I can tell you exactly when. Let me tell you when right now. Let's see. It is coming to Apple TV on. It's Erica Tremblay, not Jessica Tremblay. Idiot Ian. Give me 1 second. I should have this pulled up. I made a post about it. Let's see. I should know this right now. I have it right here. Sorry. And select theaters on June 21st, and it's streaming on June 28th. So, very excited for you all to see that one. June 28th. Remember that date. Unfortunately, I don't have Apple TV. I know it sucks. Apple TV is so nuanced. Um, it's like a streaming service of a streaming service. Like it's not even. I have Apple TV, and it's not that great. Like I'm just 100% not even gonna sugarcoat it. And I'm not like full disclosure. It's not even fully mine. I have Apple TV right now downloaded on my Roku in my living room. Am I the account holder? No. Am I bumming off of my brother? Yes. And he's only having it for like 2 months, and then he's gonna just binge all. So this is my recommendation for you. This is probably not a very good recommendation for Apple TV to all together, but I recommend Ted Lasso 100%. So if you need like something else besides Fancy Dance, I recommend you get Apple TV. It's very easy. They don't they don't secretly keep your account open. I would just like binge it for like 2 months tops. Watch Fancy Dance when it comes out June 28th. Watch Ted Lasso if you've never seen it. It is like peak TV right now. One of the greatest characters of all time. So recommend you do that. Like just buy or subscribe for a few months and then just hop back off and go back in whenever a show accumulates. Good thing about Ted Lasso, it's completely done, so you can binge the entire show right now. It's 3 seasons. But Fancy Dance, that is a movie that showcases Lily Gladstone's talent. So to take it back to where I started, after watching Killers of the Flower Moon, I felt like she was underutilized, and a lot of people felt that way for sure. Now it's not like Donald Trump. Everybody thinks the way. A lot of people say that. Um, she just kills it. She shows more of a range in Fancy Dance, and I think you really get to see like, oh yeah, she definitely deserves to be nominated for Best Actress. But if you juxtapose Fancy Dance and Killers of the Flower Moon, her performances, in my opinion, her performance in Fancy Dance is much stronger than Killers of the Flower Moon. So I was a little skeptical when she got nominated for Killers of the Flower Moon because I saw how she actually could be showcased in a project, and I just didn't feel like she was utilized correctly in Killers of the Flower Moon. So when she was nominated and was up against Emma Stone, she won the Golden Globe, but I was worried that that was going to offset her winning the Academy Award, and sure shit, it did. So I was really disappointed, but I kind of saw it coming. She was second in like the betting odds going into it, and I just figured it would be another one of those where it's like, what, really? You had the chance to make history and you gave it to Emma Stone, but I think that mindset of scarcity around like we're never going to get another nomination is what is holding my thought process back. Like I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible, but you had a perfect opportunity where a native actor was latching on to somebody that had a lot of notoriety because there's no shortage of strong native performances. Case in point, Fancy Dance coming out June 28th. There is no shortage of strong native performances. It's just at that level to be nominated and to be latched on to somebody who has political clout in the Hollywood community. I really think that Killers of the Flower Moon was that opportunity, and it was a perfect storm. It was a great time to really draft behind somebody who had a lot of inertia in the industry, but it didn't happen. Hopefully it does down the road, but I think it gives opportunities to people like Tatanka Means, Kara Jade Myers, those two just absolutely knocked it out of the park. I think they should have got more recognition for the work that they did. I made a post just about how it was bullshit that John Lithgow and Brendan Fraser, who gave good performances, were billed ahead of Kara Jade Myers and Tatanka Means because one, both of them had more screen time than John Lithgow and Brendan Fraser. So that alone should have they were in the movie more, like not just all in one scene, more parts of the movie they were in and throughout the entire movie, and I thought it was a little bit of a slap in the face to the native actors, but that's just me. So let's go back. So all that to say, Fancy Dance is phenomenal. It's a little bit of a sad film. I'm not really that big on sad films right now, but it has to do with like MMIW a bit, and but it's by a native director, so it's not so sad to like where it's like look at these poor natives, look at these dire conditions these native people are in, like is anyone aware of this? Like somebody should help these people because clearly they can't help themselves. They can't get out of their own way. There's no way. Their hands are tied by the government, how everyone's treated them forever, and they're infantilized. This infantilized community, they need to be cared for. They're the original stewards of the land. We should be taking care of them. Blah blah blah. They're the first environmentalists. Blah blah blah. All that shit. So okay, so let me. This is why I don't like sad native movies, and I feel like that's all there is that's coming out right now. And we had this awesome period where we had just native representation that spanned different genres and was both in native driven and non-native driven content. And at one point, we had Reservation Dogs, we had Rutherford Falls, and we also had like Resident Alien all airing at the same time. And then we had cool side projects, side quests coming out where we had Dexter New Blood which took place on a Seneca reservation, and that was like came out at the same time. It was just like this you didn't have enough time in the day to consume all of this native content, and you were just like in awe of everything that was coming at you. And now it's just like, well, womp womp, this sucks. This kind of stinks right now. So unfortunately, stuff takes time to come out, and not all of it is going to be in the mainstream. So I see a message in the chat. Sterling Harjo and Ethan Hawke have that project they have going on. Yeah, it's great. It's just like one of those things where, like when you binge a TV show or when the new season comes out, you're like, awesome. It took you a year and a half to make it, and I consumed it in a week. Now what do you got next? And I feel like we're stuck in that because we don't have this continuous loop of right now anyway. I feel like all the people that were working on Reservation Dogs and Rutherford Falls, like they all have work. It's just all in production and it's all in the stages of finally going to try to get it going. Unfortunately, it's just going to take time. So I think we're going to be in this lull right now where we don't have a whole lot to consume. And it's a bummer, at least at the mainstream. There's always independent film coming out, and that's two things I wanted to talk about in this live stream. One is request. Well, I should say it's just sad stuff coming out. As so, my two favorite films last year were Fancy Dance and War Pony, and both of those were not fun. Like in terms of like Reservation Dogs, like it's not something you're gonna sit down and be like, man, I can't wait to watch. I want to watch that again. It has low rewatchability, and it's just something that you appreciate for the story and the performance, and you're like, "Wow, I really appreciated that." But like Fancy Dance, like I don't as much as I enjoyed it, I'll probably watch it again and maybe do something with the podcast, maybe try to interview someone that was on it. Shoot for the stars and maybe try to interview Lily Gladstone, have her talk about Fancy Dance, but I don't really want to watch that over and over because it's just a bit of a tear jerking story, and it's an MMIW tale with, but that's not all the film is. There's so many other elements in that. MMIW is just one part of that film that is covered, but that's not the focus of the whole movie. But Lily puts on such a strong performance that it's worth watching multiple times, I think, just for that. But the story itself, no. But War Pony was amazing, but I will probably never watch it again. If you've seen War Pony, it's an independent film. I think it's available video on demand now if you go look for it. But it is sad. It's a sad movie. Um, it's not sad. It's just reality on the reservation, specifically in the Pine Ridge Res in this movie, and it's just a take on reality. And it's I don't know. It's kind of like Precious in a way, where it's like the movie Precious, when the performances are like, oh my god, it just really brings you down though, because it is such a piece of what people go through, what Native people go through and to varying degrees, and what people go through in that community and in those circumstances. So it's very much a reality for a lot of people. But man, to just watch it and you're just like, this is real. Like this shit's real. It's real representation, and it just really it's such a bummer. Like when you're done, you're just like, man, I need like a palate cleanser. Let's pop in like the Goofy movie or something to make us like cheer us up. So I see a comment in the chat. It was so sad watching people review Echo, and none of the reviewers knew that a lot of the cast was in Reservation Dogs. Yeah. So I think Echo was one that was like a high point where we actually were like, oh, okay, this is awesome. So Echo to me was just, man, Echo was so cool. I need to rewatch Echo. That was fun. I really hope that continues. I hope there's more Echo cameos in other Marvel TV shows to just extend her like presence in that unit in the MCU, and then also just to see more Echo. I would love to see that. Alakwa is such a badass. Um, let's see, what do we got next? So I talked about Fancy Dance. I talked about. All right, we covered Fancy Dance. We covered. I'm overseeing sad movies, sad native films. I just no more sad shit, please. Those of you that are making stuff. But so okay, what that's evidence of to me is the only reason that continues to be made is like that's what's going to get funded. When you are a producer, when you are somebody who has the bag, who is holding the money, who is writing the checks, like well, you're going to produce what you think is going to make money. So still, despite reservation dogs, despite Rutherford Falls, it's very clear that the people that have the money believe that that's all that we can tell is sad native stories, because it goes back to that, like, we got to take care of the original stewards of the land. Look at how sad these people are. Look at the dire conditions the United States government put them in. Look at these terrible conditions these native people live in. We need to do something to take care of these Indians. They can't care for themselves because they're handcuffed by the years and the generations of oppression that the white man put them under. Look at these poor natives. Like, that story is continually told and will continue to be told until someone comes along. And it really, so we did. Reservation Dogs and Rutherford Falls came along, and still people are like, hey, let's greenlight more sad native shit, more sad stories, more drama. I'm done with the drama. I'm done with native drama. Just no more. No more mysteries. No more like, oh, what would this native woman went missing? And I think we're good. I think we got it covered right now. We're good on like telling MMIW stories right now from a non-native perspective. I'm like Taylor Sheridan. Like, you're good. You know what? We can free you from this burden. Just stop telling this story. So I'm just done with it. Somebody go make a native comedy. Somebody go make a native super bad, please. Like, just something that I can just pop in. I'm tired of like resting on my laurels of smoke signals. So just do something. Jesus. Like, if you're just joining the chat, I was talking about how I'm like sick of sad native movies that are coming out right now. And that's all I'm seeing. Like Rutherford Falls, Reservation Dogs are like the only funny shit that I've seen. Echo is the exception. There was some comedy in there because Graham Greene was in it, and anything that Graham Greene is in, he'll add some levity. But that wasn't a comedy. That was an action MCU film. So it was different. That's all it was. It was different, and it was great. I loved it, but I just want more. I want to be able to like pop in, like I just mentioned, like a native super bad. Somebody make that a res version of that 70 show. Somebody drop in the chat. Yes, thank you. That would be awesome. Somebody made a comment. Have you seen X-Men 97? So hold on. Glades Creature. Hey buds. Hey, what's up? All right. Rolando says, have you seen X-Men 97? They showed off Forge, a Native American superhero who can build anything. No, I have not. Have not seen X-Men 97. I want to wait till that thing's completely out. That's not completely out, is it? I want to binge the whole thing. I really want to see that because that's like so right now it's 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that holds the position of the highest rated television show ever, at least for animated, for sure. Lewis H dropped in the chat. Hey, Victor, looks interesting. Yeah. So once again, I think we're just in this lull where we're just gonna have to wait it out. I think everyone who has done something of note that has caught the attention of a producer that is willing to write a check and greenlight a project, that all starts like, hey, Victor, that's coming off the heels of Echo. So he was in that film, and now it's like, okay, well, you got to wait for that thing to get off the ground and get funded and do a press tour and get out and circulate. So just going to take some time, unfortunately. But all the ideas I saw in the chat, like a that 70 show, that would be fucking awesome. As evidence of Reservation Dogs season 3, when they did the flashback episode, if there was a whole day, if they just redid like the Dazed and Confused universe, but did that same timeline like on the res, like I would love it. I would love it. But just something. I count. Someone dropped in the chat, Rolando, do you count Resident Alien? Yes, I count Resident Alien. I count it because of the prominent native representation in that movie. I'm sorry, TV show. That sci-fi TV show for sure. Absolutely count. Absolutely counts. So thanks everyone for joining the chat. Put some comments, questions on in the chat if you have any questions at all. I'm not gonna promise that I'm gonna do this in a week. I want to. I want to do this again. So full disclosure, I'm gonna go. I'm still clashing with what I want to do with this podcast, this YouTube channel. I think I'm gonna pivot toward YouTube primarily, and just try to push out more content doing that. But my whole thing is, so I'm gonna call out a YouTube channel And you all can look this up. If you follow and subscribe, I'm not judging you. I subscribe to this person, so I'm not judging you. I am talking about, and this has a point. This has a point. Navajo traditional teachings. They have 333,000 subscribers. And this is not hate. This is criticism. Okay? This is not hate. Not hate. When I first subscribed to Navajo traditional teachings, it must have been, I don't remember how long ago, but I remember they weren't at 100K yet. They were just on like 90K. And I was like, that's a lot. And I subscribed because I'm Navajo. And I was like, well, shit, I want to watch some Navajo traditional teachings. And the guy who leads the show, Wally, or who the Navajo elder will call him, he just has some good knowledge. Like, it just felt like I was talking with my Che, because my Che does that. My Che will just sit there and pontificate, and he'll just talk, because that's what Navajo men are good at. You get them on a roll, man, and they just go. They'll just, because and so much of our teaching is holistic. They'll start, and you go to his comments. Just by the way that people are talking about it, it's all non-native. Like, you can just see it, but based on the questions and the comments that they're making. And I don't know how to feel about that as a Navajo person. I just don't. There was a piece of me that I remember, like, you couldn't. I know some tribes, they don't allow people at all who aren't from the tribe to like view certain ceremonies, to be a part of. I know, like, so during some of the like Hopi mesas will be completely blocked off from the public when there's like certain dances going on. Some of them are open, and I just don't know where that line is. And obviously, with Wally, he's a traditional person, way more traditional than I'll ever be. So I would like to think that he knows the bounds more, what is and isn't acceptable to share. But the Navajo Eclipse, when the Eclipse came out recently, the Eclipse happened, rather, not it came out, like it dropped a fucking album. When the Eclipse happened, recently, the solar eclipse, Navajos, two, we got roasted on social media, but two, we just, when that eclipse came out, Wally posted a video about the eclipse, posting was showing a picture of the eclipse in the background. So obviously, you're gonna, like, trigger warning for Navajos. In the thumbnail, there was a freaking picture of of a eclipse in the background. So I don't know if that was kind of odd to me, but just when I watched the video and looked at the comments, I was clearly all mostly non-Navajo. I would say 99, 98% of it were like just non-native, specifically non-Navajo. And I don't know what that is. So to take it back to this channel, if you're non-native and you consume this like show, great. But I'm not doling out cultural wisdom, and I'm not doling out a specific tribe's cultural like history and its like connection to the land. I'm not teaching you about holism with the lens of Navajo people. And I don't know if I found myself in that position where I look at my YouTube statistics and I see the majority of my following is non-native people, and I'm educating people about a very specific like cultural thing, and I just don't know if that's okay. Like, morally, for me specifically, morally, I just don't know if I could do that. And so these are like the inner monologues I have with myself of, what do I need? What do I want my channel to be? Do I want to be, when I initially started this thing, my thought was nobody's talking about this, so I'm going to do it. And then when it was very clear that, hey, this is Ian's thing, Ian does that, and word got out, then my audience became more and more non-native, and I just didn't know what to do, because I didn't envision that. I thought I was going to be having conversations with just native people, and it turned out not to be that. And so, pivoting now to my next thing I wanted to talk about, I get a lot of requests. I say a lot, no joke, maybe a request a quarter. So 4 or 5 a year, I'll get an email to my Native Film Talk inbox through my website. And it's always a non-native person, it's always independent film. And they'll always ask me, can you watch my film? Can you screen my script? Can you review this for respect to, basically, like, is it respectful? Is it accurate? Is this can you give your perspective? And they'll kind of go on this long thing. It's very clear that they consume my content based on the way that they talk and they appreciate my perspective. But like stuff like that, it's like I didn't, not to say I wouldn't want to be a cultural consultant, but I feel like you're right. You have already built the car, the metaphorical car, and you're just telling me, "Hey, does it drive the way that it should drive?" And if it doesn't, it's just like the car's already built, bro. Like you're not gonna change it for me, but just based on my perspective. And that was a point I wrote down that I wanted to capture is like one, I don't want to do I don't want to get into the business of being the clearinghouse for this kind of thing, to be the auditor of content before it gets made, because we're both going to be disappointed. I'm positive you are a non-native filmmaker coming to me and writing in my email saying, "Hey, can you screen this project for me and give me your opinion and tell me if it's respectful or not?" We're both going to be disappointed, and I'll tell you why. You're going to be disappointed at my feedback because I'll be honest, and I'm positive just by some of the ways the project that you're describing, it's not going to be something that I enjoy. It's always sad shit too. It's always sad stuff. It's about like suicide on the res or shedding light on something that people supposedly don't know about, which means non-native people. Native people know about everything that these individuals are trying to like shed light on, and that's the thing is that's the perspective I'm going to come with. You're not going to be educating native people about anything in your films. And that's why Reservation Falls, Rutherford Falls was so awesome, is because it's something that native people have not seen about themselves. As badass of a movie as Thunderheart was, that wasn't groundbreaking in terms of like, oh man, I've never seen that story told before. And it's just that's how it happens. Same thing with Smoke Signals. As monumental of a film as that was the first major motion picture directed and led by native people, and still it was like it was just cool for the sake that we've never seen that. So when someone, a non-native person, non-native filmmaker comes to me and says, "Hey, can you review my script?" You're going to be disappointed in my feedback because I'm not going to pull punches. I'm going to give a lot of feedback. I'm positive that it's going to be something, it's going to be such a big revision that I'm going to suggest that there's no way you're going to take all of it on. Because depending on the stage that you're at, either a fully written script or you have a draft of a project and you're looking to just like fine tune and buff out certain areas, it's not going to work. We're both going to be disappointed. We'll just walk away from each other like, well, wasn't exactly what I was hoping to happen. So I have like 5 emails right now, 5 emails I need to respond to, like turn them down, let them down nicely. And the other thing is I don't work for free. I will never work for free. And like unless you're a native person, like you're on the come up and you're like just trying to make a name for yourself and you're like just need some feedback, like of course I'll help. I'm not gonna like volunteer like my life away, but I'll definitely help. Like that's where the philanthropy ends. That's where my pro bono work ends. Is it needs to be something I'm invested in. And I just get the feeling that they want me to do this out of the goodness of my heart. And that's probably another thing. Like independent film, like they're not gonna, hey, here's a gift card I found on the ground. You want to take this? A coupon. So let's catch up on some of the comments. Um, well, I appreciate what you do, what you bring. Thanks for that comment. Let's see. Someone did say it would be so much better and respectful if they wanted to collaborate with you to write a script. Yeah, and that's the thing though. I'm not a script writer. I'm not a writer. I want to be. Like I have an idea for a sci-fi novel, but I just need to get it off the ground. Um I want to write it for sure, but I'm not a writer. I will collaborate with somebody for sure. Somebody wants to say like, "Hey, you want to be a cultural consultant?" Like, I'll help to the best of my ability for sure. Like, I'll do an internship and try that. I wouldn't sign on for a project and be that role from the jump. Um, wasn't there a TV series based on the movie Dance Me Outside? If there was, I don't know about it or I don't recall. So there's a question. Rolando said Rutherford Falls did a whole episode about native cultural consultants getting reduced to the rubber stampers for shows written for and by white audiences. And right there, that comment, yes, we never saw that represented in television. Native people knew about that, but that was like so Like, I didn't know you could tell that to non-native people. I didn't know you could like shove like just like a dog you're trying to like old school. It's probably like Caesar Milan would not recommend rubbing a dog's nose in their own shit to housebreak them. But like that's what they were doing, like rubbing a dog's nose in their shit. Just like that's what you're not supposed to do. And that's what I loved about Rutherford Falls is they made fun of Yellowstone, the Adirondacks, that spoof they did, and they made fun of native culture, how native cultural consultants are used, and they really are just a rubber stamp in a way, checking the box, saying, "Hey, we exercise our due diligence. We talked to the right people. We talked to one person in one tribe and got buy-in from an entire race of people, or not even a race, from an entire like ethnic group, made up ethnic group." I say made up because it's just Native American, indigenous is too much of an umbrella term. It's not encompassing of who we actually are. So I covered Fancy Dance coming to Apple TV Plus on June 28th. I talked about how I'm sick of native sad projects, sad movies, sad everything, just doom and gloom. Poor Indians, look at these poor natives. I need a comedy. Somebody make a freaking comedy that isn't an independent film. Somebody with like, I don't know. I guess Fry Bread Face and Me was one that came out. That was one, and that was okay. Like I watched it and I was like, yeah, this was all right. I had some bright spots. I could be mean a little bit and critical, but I'm not going to be. I think it was okay. I just don't, I don't know. It just bugged me for like having being such a native like project, and like why have Martin in there? Martin Sensmeyer. I guess because Kahara is in it, his wife, and she's Navajo, and maybe that's why to just same place, still less logistical planning, traveling. But I was just like, I don't know. That's just me. Whatever. Um, and yeah, like more of that, more Fry Bread Face and Me, more of that stuff, more of that kind. And so someone put in the chat, I like Tony Hillerman's films based on the Navajo living. Yeah. So, you know what? Actually, those films, those PBS films, those are actually solid. It's a little too much at times, but the representation in those is pretty solid. The issue is Tony Hillerman. That guy was a fucking asshole. And I made an episode, I talked a lot about it in my Dark Winds episode where I reviewed season one. Tony Hillerman was off his rocker toward the end. And I don't know if he was suffering from some kind of mental illness toward the end or some kind of like illusions of grandeur, if he did drugs or whatever. But he literally thought um, that he was more native than native people, specifically Navajo. So I'm more Navajo than Navajo people because I care about the culture and I actually want to learn about the culture. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? And he didn't like, yeah, I mean, he said that in in an interview. I don't recall. I think it might have been with Cowboys and Indians magazine, but it was pretty prominent, and it might have been with the university actually. But yeah, that was BS. Like to profit off of Navajo stories for like to make you a millionaire, your lineage millionaires, and then that's your appreciation you give to Navajo people. It's like, well, if I'm more Navajo than they are because I know more about them, and that air of arrogance. He was such a vacuum in such an echo chamber. I should say, but Tony Hillerman was just like everyone was just telling him how awesome he was and how much Navajo shit that he knew and just blowing people's minds away. And like he just loved himself too much. He just became a narcissist. It sounds like from all the research that I did, looking at articles about him, interviews I've seen, the mannerisms, how he carried himself, the way he talked about Navajo people, the way he talked about Navajo stories, the way that he owned Navajo shit. I just I just don't know. I don't know. It just it was gross seeing that. So, it was really hard for me to separate. Is all that to say. He did get some stuff right, but he also profited off Navajo culture and never thanked anybody, never thanked anybody specific. Um, because he didn't get those stories by himself, but after a while, I'm sure that's what he thought. He probably thought he did. So it was really hard for me to appreciate native Dark Winds. I really like the casting in Dark Winds. I really like the cat. That's the best part of Dark Winds. I gave my criticisms about the language use. You have the two main characters in a story about Navajos, and the two main characters aren't Navajo, and you're having them speak Navajo, and just a slap in the face to Navajos. It's like Wind Talkers all over again. Hey, we're going to tell the most important story that Navajos have in the United States of America, that the United States actually recognizes their service to this country, and that their role in World War II was so pivotal that it's arguable that if the Navajos did not use the Navajo code, then the Axis would have won the war. Played by Adam Beach. So it's just like, Jesus Christ, people, are you kidding me? So it just goes back to that. Oh, why are you telling Navajo stories without Navajo people as leads? I don't know, but it's okay. Whatever. Whatever. I'm okay with it. Overall, I'm just, like I said, going back to the casting. That's my favorite part. That is my favorite part. Like the casting is badass. It's showcasing so many people, Navajo and non-Navajo, showcasing their talent. Love it. So let's see, we got some dialogue going on in the chat about Dark Winds. Orlando says, "I view Tony Hillerman as a culture vulture." I do too. Let's see, Glade's creature. Not sure what must have been in his head. Maybe he didn't know what he was saying. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he meant he knows more about Navajo than many actual Navajo. Thought some nutty thing up. Yeah, that could have been out of context, but I will tell you that that wasn't his only comment. That wasn't. This isn't like an NBA or NFL post game interview where I'm just taking like just the snippet out of context. Like he was very much like full of himself. And so there was a weird thing too. Like he would wear these things as a badge of honor in a way that. So there was this stupid award. I don't know. So this isn't the thing. Let me just tell you. This was during Peter McDonald's presidency. If you know anything about Peter McDonald, he got arrested, went to prison for like embezzling money. He was Navajo Nation president, but he embezzled like a lot of money, and it was very rooted and very, very intricate. And so there's a conspiracy theory around that too, but that's for another day. But during his presidency, he gave Tony Hillerman a Friend of the Navajo Award. I don't know what that means. I've never seen that. There's no like annual, hey, here's our Friend of the Navajo for 2024. I've never heard of that award before or since. But that Friend of the Navajo award was his crowning achievement. And he paraded that thing around all the time. That is in multiple interviews. You can find that for yourself. Multiple interviews, both video and articles. He loved that thing. Even his kids would say one of his proudest achievement, despite all of his accolades, all the millions of books he sold, was that he was deemed a friend of the Navajo. And I want to know what idiot from the Navajo Nation made up a plaque and gave that to Tony Hillerman, because that just conflated his ego of like, I am one of them now. I am them and they are me. And I can write whatever I want in these pages and people are going to gobble it up. So, I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. It's okay. All right, let's talk about so I talked about Navajo traditional teachings. I will say though, as a Navajo person, going back to Navajo traditional teachings, that YouTube channel, it's very informative. I have my Che. I don't live with him anymore, but I grew up in the same exact house with him. We all lived in the same trailer. My mom, my grandparents, my son, and my Che. And I heard my Che talk to me all the time about Navajo traditional teachings, and my Che is still alive. So it feels great to watch some of like Wally's stories. They're all authentic, they're all real, they're all legitimate. None of it's like embellishment, none of it is pandering. Oh, that's my next point. My next thing I want to talk about. So yeah, none of it. It's all real. It's just the audience. It's just I don't know if ethically, morally, if that's okay. But I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about natives who pander to non-natives, specifically make shit for non-natives, and they know they're doing that, and they know they know. I don't know what that is. Let's use jewelry makers as an example, specifically Navajos. Navajos know that turquoise jewelry is always in vogue. It is always popular. Pendleton blankets, not Pendleton blankets, like woven blankets. Like they make them knowing like they're gonna make it. It goes back to the capitalism thing. Like, are you able to look past the dollar? Are you going for a message? Or are you just whatever? And that's what it's rough out there. We got to make a living, and there's no way you're going to make a great living selling shit to natives. Like, we just don't have the money. There's not enough of us. There's not enough opportunity. It's just that's the bounds of what we can do. There's limits to what we can do and how much we can support. So naturally, after a certain point, you're going to start selling to non-native people if you get big enough, regardless of what you're selling. But it just irks me, and I'm not going to call out anyone specifically, but it just irks me for people who are like, to see people who are like professionally native, like they go around just telling stories, like playing flutes, playing native instruments, and like dancing, and they just go do performances around the world, and it's like educational. But a part of me is just like, that this is like, you're just feeding into their interest of like, look at, we just, I don't know, like dance monkey dance thing, I just don't, it just makes me feel gross when I see it as a native person. And I saw it recently when I was there was a Indian market recently. Um, and that's like an annual thing here. It's like the Santa Fe Indian market, but like a very, very, very small scale, very small. I've never been to Santa Fe market, but from what I understand, it's exactly like that, but massive, like multitudes bigger, but it's the same thing. And when you're there, you're looking at people selling and look at native vendors, and you can very clearly tell who are the ones who are selling native stuff, native inspired, and they're just like, hey, this is something that I am selling because it's important to me, because it speaks to some my experience, or it's an expression of myself, my community, where I come from, my people. And then you can also see people who are just selling stuff knowing that white people are going to buy it, knowing that non-native people are going to buy it. And then just the way the language they use, the way they speak, it's just like, ah. So Rutherford Falls calls that stuff out. Reservation Dogs calls that stuff out in the decolonization episode. Just the dinosaur oyate, that whole thing. Like, that's real. Those people are real, and it's gross. And you know who you are. If you're on, there's only 7 people in right now, but at some point, if you see this, you know who you are. The ones who pander to non-native people know that you're doing that. And I'm not putting Wally and Navajo traditional teachings in that category. I'm just saying that reminded me that I wanted to talk about that. But there are people out there that do that know that that's their audience, and they're okay with that. They'll doll it up a little bit around their native shit. It's not that maybe is in not real. That maybe embellishment of their culture, maybe embellishment of the way that they talk. Have a stoic presence, buy into their own stereotypes to themselves, be very like stoic, and just talk in a cadence that seems like you really know a lot about the world. Everyone close your eyes and then bring out some sage or a little shell, and I want everyone to take a moment, just bless themselves before that kind of stuff. I don't know. Some of it is real and some of it's just like, you know what you're doing. So Somebody blew up in the chat. Authentic native, made in China. Exactly. So someone said, yeah, people profit off these things. Even China makes art related to it to us, and it gets shipped here. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's the arts and crafts law that you if you tag it as native made, you definitely have to. It has to be made by natives. You can't call it authentic and have it not be made by natives. Especially right now with just Western wear is in fashion. Anytime Western wear is in fashion, their native wear is also brought into that somehow. And native, it's like native inspired, I guess, but it's always like a bastardization of like what actually like native shit is. Like right now, like fake squash blossoms are really big and have been for a couple of years, and it is gross. And I just can't stand it. Native turquoise, like Navajo turquoise jewelry, just knockoff plastic stuff. It just looks weird. It just looks weird. So someone said Etsy drop shipping at its worst. I agree. All right, so let's talk about one other thing. Then, if you have any questions, comments, drop it in the chat. Like, subscribe. Appreciate your support. Let's close with talking about Fallout. So Fallout, if you've never played Fallout, I am a gamer, but I've never played Fallout other than Fallout 4. I loved Fallout. Fallout 4 was so much fun. Um, God, it was such a great game. And I tried playing Fallout New Vegas, but I just didn't have the time. And because I started with Fallout 4, the regression in graphics from 4 to Vegas, I just couldn't do it. Same thing with 4 to 3, I just couldn't do it. But all of this is important because Fallout just recently had a show release on Amazon Prime. There's a Fallout show out now on Amazon Prime. And it's just about that whole universe, about Fallout. This post-apocalyptic universe. It's supposed to be in like 1974. I'm sorry. God, 1974. 2075-ish. And it surprised the hell out of me because Dallas Goldtooth plays Charles Whiteknife. He is in the film. In the TV show. Sorry. He's just a Native American actor. No idea what tribe he is. He's just Native American. Um, his whole background is so he served in the Marine Corps with Cooper Howard during the Sino-American War. He would then become a movie actor where he would get typecasted as Native American characters in westerns, many of which were Cooper Howard films. So that was pretty cool. I think it's great. Just Dallas Goldtooth getting more recognition, and I'm really excited to see that. I'm a big Fallout fan, so I'm gonna watch it for sure. I haven't seen it, but I saw everyone talking about it, and I looked it up. And Charlie Whiteknife out now. He's on the Fallout fandom page right now. He's on the wiki for that. So he's already uploaded. Somebody already made a profile on him. I thought that was awesome. Someone dropped a comment. This is the second one, so I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge it. What upcoming projects are you most looking forward to? So I appreciate that. I am looking forward to the next Echo season whenever that happens. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Resball whenever that comes out. I know that project was delayed. The LeBron James produced native film. I believe Sidney Freeland is directing that one. I'm really excited for what that looks like. um, just because it's not as, I hope it's not. I don't think it'll be sad. I don't think it'll be sad. I think it'll be exciting. It's gonna be a basketball movie. I think someone's probably gonna die during the season. We'll see. Someone's probably gonna die during the season, or someone's like relative is gonna die during the season. But that's just Hollywood. You got to make a movie like that. But I think and they're all gonna rally around it. You know, like Hardball, gonna rally around G Baby's death and win the championship. Something's gonna happen like that. But I can't wait. It's exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see. Next comment. Movies like Hollywood Shuffle, Bamboozled, and American Fiction tackle sellout from a black perspective. The perspective is different from the experience, but disturbingly familiar. So yes, that's the term I'm looking for. Is this you're being a sellout? Thank you, Rolando. That is spot on. You're being a sellout. But it's just gross from a native perspective because I guess it's the same thing. Like you're out there tap dancing, you're doing this, you're doing yeah, it's the same thing. I just don't like it. It's gross. And me and my wife, we talk about it, and it's just like, ugh. Some people make a living off of that, and that's okay, I guess. Like if that's you got to feed your family, but my goodness, what I want to know is, do they know that? Especially if it's like a multi-generational thing with some of these families, it is. Like that's the family business is to be a professional Indian, and so it's like a new um Wild West show. So I don't know, whatever. Let's see. Fallout is a cool universe, but I'm always side eyeing the Mormons, especially given what Mormonism has to say about Native people. Yeah, it's an interesting comment. Someone said Bobby Wilson as Willie Jack was great. I agree. Cool. Well, I don't. Nobody else has any more questions. I just want to say thank you for joining. I have something cool. Did I show everyone this already? I'm gonna make a video on this, but I'm gonna show you all. I got. Did I show everyone? I don't think so. I'm gonna give me 1 second. I got something for doing reservation dogs. The on Indigenous Talk when we did the episode by episode review for season 3. The res dogs, they sent us a box. They sent us a, I don't know, influencer box or like a care package. I'll show you. I said influencer box. I felt gross just saying that. But they sent us a box full of stuff. And I say influencer box because I've only seen influencers get this kind of stuff for like media press and rollout so they can show it. And I feel bad for not showing it, but here we are. So this box here was sent to my doorstep, and I was just like, what is that? Because they're like, hey, give us your address. And so I gave them my address, and this showed up sometime during the last episode that we were recording. It's got Skoden written on both sides. But it is, but wait, there's more. It's not just a box. I'm going to keep this box forever. So there's more shit in it. It's got Dallas Goldtooth in the inside. Right, it's on like a no, it's not even a quarter driven. It's a dime pony machine, like one of those toy ones. And there's fucking flaming flamers in it. Look at this. Look at this. They gave me a box of or a bag of flaming flamers, and this is real. It's got 170 calories in it. This is real. So, in talking with Sterling Harjo, talking about what happened on the set of Reservation Dogs, like the prop people, no joke, had boxes and boxes of this. This is real. These are real chips that they made, and these were like their pick-me-up snack on set. He said, like that was freaking awesome. So yeah, this shit's got 170 calories, extra cheesy written on it. If you ever wanted to see what these look like, Flamin' Flamers, made with real cheese, burn good. So that was pretty awesome. All right, let's show you what else is in here. So right here, this was a FX card that they gave us, and it says "Aho!" Legitimately, it says "Aho" on it. Moto, thank you for your support of FX Reservation Dogs throughout its run. Together, we journey through Oakland, Oklahoma to Los Angeles, California, and back again. And along the way, some of us even learned how to not be shit asses. It literally says that. In honor of Native American Heritage Month and this award-winning, groundbreaking series, please accept these offerings for wherever your travels may take you in the future. Thank you again for sending Reservation Dogs off in that good way and helping cement its legacy in television history. Team FX. All right. And wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. So this one is pretty cool. I also got a map. It looks like a map. But when you open this shit up, it's the mural that was shown when the kids were going across the country. It's Indian country. And it's like, yeah, there you go. You can see Indian country. It's written all over the place. It's got different people's tribes as you go across. So that's pretty cool. I'll probably get that framed. and we got a bag, like a go bag, and it's got FX reservation dogs on it. And this is the coolest thing for me. This is less of a, I don't know, it's more of a nerdy thing. But they gave everyone a script of the pilot, Reservation Dogs, written by Sterling Harjo and Taika. So it's a script for episode 1. And I thought that was badass to have the script and just, I don't know. Like that was the coolest part to me. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. This was the coolest part. This was the coolest part. Was getting a bag of Flamin' Flamers. So we interviewed Sterling Harjo on the last episode. We reviewed the whole thing, and then I just don't know if it was kind of bad quality. I think in terms of connection, because it was via virtual interview. So unfortunately, I think it wasn't. But anyway, during that conversation, we brought that Flaming Flamers. So like, yo, we should. It's like somebody brought up Flaming Flamers in the conversation out of us 4. And I was like, yo, I wish I could try Flaming Flamers. And he was like, oh yeah, I'll send you some. Send you a box. And I was like, what? Are you serious? But because he only gave us 1, I don't know. Do you maybe drop it in the chat? If you had 1 bag of unopened Flaming Flamers, would you open it and eat it? Or would you just keep it and admire it, knowing that you never opened it? But this shit's also going to expire someday. Like, this is probably, I don't know, 6 months old by now. Who knows how long ago it actually was made? But it crossed my mind to eat it and then put it back, like just stuff it with like some Build-A-Bear stuffing, and then like glue it back on to seal it back up. So I don't know. I'm torn. What does everyone think? What would you do? Would you eat it or would you not eat it? I'll probably make a poll of this. That's what I'll do. Make a poll on like social media, see what people say. So I'll do a video of like just talking about the unboxing of this. Like I thought this was cool. But those of you that are on the live stream, thank you so much. Like I just wanted to show you all that. I thought that was badass. I've watched Res Dogs multiple times already. I agree. Someone said that box is awesome. I want to taste those hot chips. I'm not gonna lie. All right, let's see. I wish Native Talk guys would get together and review Echo. Yeah, I don't know. We're not that kind of group. We kind of all came together and banded around our love for Reservation Dogs, and I don't know what Pat has planned for the show, but that was fun. I had a blast doing that. And the reason why it was so much fun is because I didn't have to do any work. Pat is a beast in terms of like editing and staying up late and getting all that stuff done. I just like showed up, like Pat owns the boat. I just showed up with the beer and like was ready to hang out. Like he has the boat, he's got to keep up the maintenance, he's got to have the truck to pull it, like he's got to know everything about the boat. I just showed up and had fun. So if we did something like that, I'd probably have to lead it and orchestrate it, and then probably have to do all the editing too. But there's definitely a need and a hunger for that. So I think there's certainly opportunity there. I got another question here. Do you plan on doing any more collaborations? I want to. There are, I think right now, like Patrick, I think someone I want to have on the show at some point. Patrick is Navajo. To just have him maybe come talk about native film, maybe something in particular that he wants to talk about. I would love to have him on the podcast. Elias Gold, who is Native Media Theory. We collaborate as often as we can. Like that'd be fun to talk to him about just his upcoming project. I know he has a short film coming up. But collaborations with like another YouTube channel, like I don't have any planned right now. I would like to. And I did something recently. So accountability for everyone. This is the last thing I'm going to bring up. So I got a 4 and a 2-year-old, and I use them as a crutch sometimes for why I don't do more content. And it's just true. Like it's just me and my wife doing this, and we don't live near family. So when the day is done, from sun up to sundown, we are just kids. And when I want to peel away in the middle of the day to go do something, it's not a podcast. I want to get out of the house. I want to go to the driving range. I want to go for a run. I want to go grab a beer somewhere. Like I don't want to sit in somewhere and work on the podcast, but I need to. And recently, I mapped out in my phone all of my ideas for upcoming episodes, and then I wrote down in my laptop like a schedule. So I want to do it. I want to do be more active in this, and I think as I get more active, I know that that is the thing I need to do is collaborate with other content creators. So my goal, and I'm speaking into existence right now, is to be at um what I want to go to Indigenous Comic Con next year. The problem is I missed my chance when it was at I don't know, it's called like Indigenex or something like that now. But Indigenous Comic Con, I want to go to that Native Comic Con, and that's where I think it'll all click. So that just happened. That's happening right now. I think it's just finishing up, and I think that's taking place right now in Tulsa, and I bet it's gonna stay there because that's kind of like the mecca right now. But it used to be in Albuquerque, and I'm just kicking myself because that's so close to Phoenix, relatively speaking, and I could have been there. So that's my hope is continue to build momentum, spend more time, accountability mirror. Like I just looked myself in the mirror, and I'm just like, you're not doing this because you're fucking lazy. You're not doing this because you're too scared to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you don't have it all figured out with this show, that you really don't have a vision, that you're just shooting from the hip, and that you never actually put together a plan of what you wanted out of this show, and you lucked into where you currently are. You made content and people followed it, and you thought that that was enough. You thought that you could just make whatever content, and then when you got to a point where you had an existential crisis, then your house of cards fell over and you realized, oh, you actually need to be in this to make this work, because consistency over quality is the name of the game. And I was like hung up on the quality piece of like, well, it's got to be quality, it's got to be quality, but I'd already made 50 episodes, and then I just realized like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm doing this. So I had a lot of hard conversations with myself over the past couple of months, and my kids aren't the problem. I'm the problem. Me. I'm why this show is not consistent. I'm why we haven't progressed to where I wanted to be with it. So, but that's okay. You got to start somewhere. So, accountability mirror looked at myself and was like, hey, you need to make this happen. No one's coming to help you. No one's gonna come and like, I listen to Native Film Talk. I'll come and edit for you. I love Native Film Talk. I want to be a guest on your show. Like you need to get this off the ground. So quit complaining about it, about not having time. Everybody doesn't have time. Quit complaining about you don't know how to edit videos. Like everyone that knows how to edit videos at some point didn't know how to edit videos. So just to figure it out. So I plan on doing more collaborations. It's just whenever I get there. All right. So somebody had there's a conversation about Mormons, like, and I think Fallout somewhere in the chat. Don't want to recap that. I don't want to say or read all that. I just kind of like watching it happen in the chat. But that's pretty funny. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoys. And I'm gonna do a video on this. I'm gonna recap this, maybe just on social. But I thought this was cool, and I'm gonna do a poll, and I will. You know what I'm gonna do? I think I'm gonna eat it. If I eat it, I'm gonna eat it on a video. I'm gonna eat it in front of not in front of you all, but I'm gonna eat it on live stream maybe, or I'm gonna eat it. Yeah, I'll record it for sure, just to let you all know like how it tastes. If you're just joining, Reservation Dogs sent me a big care package box, and in the box was a bag of flaming flamers, and I actually want to eat it. And if you ever wanted to know, a bag of flaming flamers is 170 calories. So there it is. Someone said, "No, don't eat them." It's tough. I don't know. We'll see. All right, everyone. Well, y'all have a good one. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll talk soon. Later.